This is the game ranking tool for the 9 to 5 worker, version 1. I will go over each of these categories and assign a score from 1 to 5 from the perspective of somebody who can only play a game within a reasonable time. After all of these scores are assigned, there will be an average generated across all of them, with a bit of different calculations for some of them. And I'll use this score to give an overall recommendation, whether I think the game is enjoyable from the perspective of somebody who can only play the game in bite-sized chunks. 1 hour here, 2 hours there, maybe longer on the weekend. Getting right into it, what are the categories? Time to reward. This is going over when you boot up the game and you start playing, how quick is it for you to have fun? Do you have to do an hour of cutscenes or some sort of preamble before you're into the action? Are there loading times, queue times, waiting for people to join in? Learning curve. How easy is the game to learn? So, is this something that takes, is this League of Legends? Are you going to be playing for 100 hours before you know what the hell is going on? Or is this something that you can quite quickly get the hang of and enjoy reasonably fast? Session flexibility. When you play, are you locked into a 2 hour uninterrupted session? Are you raiding in World of Warcraft, where you have multiple people on the hook if you leave that you're going to piss off? Is that going to take you 5 hours straight, uninterrupted? Or can you pause the game at any time? Are the run durations only 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes? Grind and tedium. Do you spend most of your time farming materials? Is this Destiny 2? Is this classic World of Warcraft? Am I getting off work and then going around and looting boxes for 5 hours before I can play the game? Value proposition. How cheap is the game and how much content do you get out of it for that price? Memory burden. If you put the game down and come back to it in a week, do you know what the hell is going on? Do you forget all of the systems? Are there so many complicated things that there's a large mental burden on you keeping up with them? Core loop satisfaction. Assuming you get to the point where you know what you're doing, is the game any fun at that point in the first place? And then these are my points to assign on top of everything else, just from my personal opinion about maybe things that go outside of these criteria that make the game worthwhile for playing. So let's get right into it. The game is Elden Ring Nightreign. I've currently played 25.8 hours, which is, I think, a reasonable amount of time. Genre, Souls-like, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Sekiro, games like that. Co-op, multiplayer, play with your friends, up to 3 people. Rogue Light, so you replay, there's random elements. Cost, I live in Canada, so the cost is $53.49 Canadian. So that is probably $3.20 American, or €1. Let's just get right into scoring it then. So time to reward for this game. How quickly does the game generate gratification for the player? So you load in, takes no time at all. The only thing that will take time before you can start enjoying yourself is how long it takes to find a team. If you play single player, that won't be a problem, but the game is far more difficult single player. So given how popular the game is right now, it's very quick to get in. I would say the time to reward is extremely quick. However, depending on what you're doing when you actually get into the gameplay loop, like the second you load in, you get into a run where you're actually engaging in combat, you might not have as much fun depending on your game knowledge at that point, because there is a lot of aimless running around until you get the swing of things, or the hang of things. But I still think the time to reward is pretty reasonable. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know if this is quite immediate. Considering that there is a queue time, you could argue that other games could go faster than this. Learning curve. This is probably the game's weakest point. It's not to say that the systems are complicated. It's to say that the learning curve is twofold. One, for this game specifically, for you to succeed, you need to know what the points of interest are on the map. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to navigate to a point of interest that is too difficult for you to overcome, and that is going to significantly hamper your enjoyment and your chance of success for that finite play duration. So it will take a bit of time, probably a few hours, before you understand, what does a church do? What does that provide me? What does this castle look like? What is the boss there? This roaming boss, how much HP does it have? Am I going to be able to fight that? Is this a good weapon? Is this passive ability strong? What nodes do I pick? So there's a lot of different elements for you to learn in this game, and that contributes to the learning curve. But additionally, because this is an Elden Ring based Souls-like, there is also the learning curve of, what are my weapon movesets? How long does it take me to swing this axe? When I see that enemy coming, what attacks could he hit me with? That's a huge part of the learning curve. And I played Dark Souls 1, 2, 3. I played Elden Ring. I've beaten all of them. And I'm still shit at these games because it's hard, and you have to play a lot to really memorize the patterns and memorize the movesets of your weapons. So the combined learning curve of knowing what to do in the game and then knowing what all the enemies do and what all the weapons do, that together makes this a very steep learning curve, in my opinion. You can get okay pretty quickly, but to get very proficient, that's going to take a really long time. So I'm going to give this a 2. It's quite bad. If you want to, having never played a game like this before, if you want to immediately pick it up, play, and succeed, it's going to be challenging. Session flexibility. This one's all right. So when you do get into a game, can you pause at any time? No, you can't. It's multiplayer. Can you quit without a penalty? No, you can't, because you're going to jeopardize your teammates if you do that. So once you're in, you kind of have to be ready for the full time. How long does it take? Well, I don't know. I think it's like 40 minutes every time if you get all the way to the end. So I would call that middle of the pack. Like it's not too long, but it's not great either. Like you pretty much have to be able to, if you want to win, you're playing in 40-minute chunks every time. So if you want to play one run, you need 40 minutes. If you want to play 2 runs, you need 80 minutes, or probably more than that, right? If you want to spend any time in between them. Grind and tedium. I wouldn't say this game is grindy at all. The majority of what you're doing is the core gameplay loop. You're not farming materials. You're not doing any sort of metagame system. There is relics that you can go out of your way to get, which relics provide you power in between runs that carry over, that don't reset. And some of those are a bit of a chore to do because you have to do a specific optional objective. You're probably going to go on the wiki to find out what you even have to do for that. So that's a little bit of grind, but you could largely ignore that and not face any difficulty. So I'll say that this is pretty good in terms of not being grindy. Value proposition. I don't think this one's super great. If Elden Ring didn't exist, this would be fantastic because you have so many weapons and movesets, etc. But Elden Ring does exist, and this is largely copying everything out of that game. So if you played Elden Ring, there's very little new here. It's just piecing it all together in a unique way. And it's not like, in today's ecosystem of games, you have games that are so cheap that provide hours and hours and hours of content. So comparing this to that doesn't help it, especially the second you dip into the roguelike genre. You're now comparing yourself to very affordable, very replayable games. So for something, given it's not quite AAA price, but it's definitely higher than indie game price, I'm gonna give it a 3. I don't think it's, if you had $50 Canadian to spend and you were looking for the best value for money, I don't think this is the game. Even if you really like Elden Ring, I think you can get better experiences in this. Memory burden. I don't think it's that hard to remember what you're doing. I think the hard part is to figure out in the first place what you're doing. If I were to play now and I haven't played in about a week and a half, I think I would know everything right away. I think the only thing that I would be stale on is the enemy movesets, but to be fair, I never really memorized those in the first place. So I think this is not so bad for the memory burden. And the characters are quite simple. They don't have like super unique abilities. They do have unique abilities, but they're very not complicated. Once you know everything, you know what the nodes are, you're good at the game relatively, and you're able to get in there, go to a church, then go to a mine, then go to another boss, and then, okay, I'm level 8 at day 1, reliably. And I see that boss, and I know it's going to fuck me up, so I'm not going to attack it. Once you're in that position, you spent maybe 7 hours getting the hang of things. Is the game fun at that point? And I'd say, yeah, it's definitely fun if you like Souls-like games. This is a very, the Souls-like genre is a unique, difficult, specific genre. If you've never liked those games, you aren't going to enjoy this game. However, if you do like these games, this is just that repeated, right? So I think it is quite fun when you do get the hang of it. And would I assign any bonus points to this? Well, okay, is it that fun? 4? I don't know if it's that fun. Like, when I played it, I was like, this is alright, given that there's nothing new else out to play, but I wasn't like, wow, man, I have to keep playing this. It's not terrible, but would I prefer to just play regular Elden Ring? For me, yes. And I would just download the co-op mod for Elden Ring if I wanted a multiplayer Elden Ring. So I'll downgrade this only because I'm setting myself up for future game comparisons where I will want to be assigning better scores than this. I need 4 and 5 available for 2 tiers of games that I think are more fun than this. This is my flex points. So the score right now is an average of all of these. And whatever I add to this is going to add to that. So it's not going to be in the average, it's just going to be little flavor on top. So do I think I want to assign any bonus points to this? Maybe a 0.1, just because I particularly like. I love roguelikes. I love Souls-likes, and to match them up to me is an exciting concept. And I've had decent fun with it because I've been willing to Google and YouTube and throw my head against the wall multiple times to figure out what bosses are going to kill me and what bosses aren't. So sure, a little bit of flavor I'll give to it. Disclaimer: this is not this score. This 3.4. This is not an objective evaluation of if the good is game or not, or sorry, if the game is good or not. It's not designed to give you that answer. It's only designed to give you a score if you are somebody with a limited amount of time to play the game. If you are looking to quickly understand what you have to do, you get home from work, you have 2 hours on the weekend to play, and you want to just enjoy the time that you spend with a game. You don't want to have to spend hours learning complicated systems or struggling with extremely difficult things. If you like difficult games, it's possible that you think this game is far higher rated because of your either willingness to subject yourself to the hardships that the game provides, or because you have more time to play. So don't become jaded with this score because you personally, are on summer vacation and you can play for 10 hours a day for 2 months straight. Because this is not designed to evaluate the game under that lens. Look for just a general review to see the game's quality from that lens. These metrics, these categories, time to reward, learning curve, session flexibility, these are all specifically picked only if you're a person who wants the biggest amount of enjoyment in the smallest amount of time. So under that lens, this is what that score is, 3.4. I'm happy enough with that score. The total maximum score anything could achieve would be a 5.5, which is the average of 5 plus a little 0.5. So yeah, I think I'm happy enough with that review. So if you're somebody like me who, you're in the rat race per se, and after you're done doing your laundry and cleaning your dishes and making your meal preps, vacuuming your floor and dusting your counters, and you're looking to have a little bit of fun on the computer, and you don't want to spend 5 hours figuring out what you're doing, then you are going to be semi-okay with this game. And the weakest point is the ability to learn both the difficulty of just general combat and what all the points of interest are. Once you've surpassed that, if you're willing to put a decent amount of time in, there is whatever the opposite of diminishing returns is. After you get out of that initial curve, which is low, it goes exponential. Your enjoyment, for me, when I play right now, my experience is much more fun than in the first 10 hours of play. So if you can get over that hump, it's pretty good. But, looking at the game from a new player's perspective, I'm happy with this score. So I'll add it to the table of games, which I'll accumulate as I do more of these. So what was the time to reward again? 4, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3.1. 3, 4, 3.1. Okay, so currently overall score, it's rank 1 because there's nothing else on the list. See if any of that makes sense to you, and then maybe I'll make another video.